Hello and welcome. Hello, everyone. This is Christian from Netguru AI. So, today with me, I have a guest from our team, which is Matt Chłodnicki. Hello, Matt. Good to see you.
Hey Christian, great to be here.
Before we will start, because today we are going to, talk about AI and trends and where we are with trends, how to work with trends on a daily basis, very specifically in the, let's say, product based environment. And I know that you are like very experienced product guy. So why don't you say a little bit about yourself to our audience?
Right, so just to introduce myself, let's say I'm a entrepreneur slash product manager, like turned person. So I was building products all my life, and for the last 2 years, I would say, maybe I'm not building AI products yet, but my focus is on AI technology and how this can enhance product building, different products and basically our work. So I'm looking into those, trends, topics on a daily basis. That's
Yeah.
basically me.
Yeah, great to have you here. Obviously, usually when you're thinking about AI, artificial intelligence, it's all about like always people are saying about the trends. And even like when I was preparing this webinar or podcast, of course, I've read all the reports and even like more broad tech reports, not only AI reports, but general tech reports or industry reports. And usually, out of five trends, at least two are somehow related with artificial intelligence. Usually, this is like data and Gen AI things, right? But like, if we will get back a little bit, thinking about, close past, and of course, when we are thinking about AI, we all think also about GPT. Mass market thinks about GPT, and I know that you are also like one of the earliest user of GPT I know here in our company. But we are like 2 years after that, right? So what's your perspective like then and now? Did it deliver? How does it work? Did it deliver the value that you were thinking it will deliver? Did we met the trend that everyone was talking about back then?
That's a very good question, and especially thinking about 2 years back, I think that I'm also like a very good example. That 2 years back, I was almost not like aware or interested in AI. Like before Chat GPT launched, of course there was, let's say, some knowledge, some interest, but it's like for the majority of people, like say no one was even probably expecting this. After GPT exploded, let's say the whole industry, and a lot of AI products and different approaches emerged. It changed a lot, and I would say that after the initial, let's say, boom and explosion, and everyone was interested, then there was, I think, this part of the time where it calmed down, and
Yeah.
still some people continued to use, for example, ChatGPT, but this initial boom stopped. And right now, what I'm seeing is that, of course, the exploding of new use cases of using different tools, not only but mainly the generative AI in different fields. And I feel like after this initial hype, now, which is I think way better, companies are really looking to build products that solve some real problems. Like initially, there were a lot of apps that were basically doing almost the same, very similar apps that were using just some prompts from GPT to just cover some very simple use cases. People were trying, as probably often, makes some easy money on the initial trend and hype. Right now I feel like it changes. There are like better solutions emerging, and that's the reality that we are right now after 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So what you're saying here is this, let's say, Gartner classical hype cycle, right? And this is what I guess from the for the product people, Marty Kagan wrote about it. That this is the guy that was there when personal computers emerged. Then we had internet, right? Then we have, let's say, or mobile technologies, right? Then we have cloud, right? Then we had the smartphones, and every time we have a new technology, this is the same hype that usually people tends to overestimate, or let's say be over enthusiastic on some technology on a very early stage, but they are not aware on where it can go on the later stage. So it's kind of thinking that market will definitely look for more, let's say, business or more valuable technologies.
And
But yeah,
as you mentioned this, like people very often overestimate what
yeah,
something can be done in a year, for example, but
yeah,
they underestimate how this can evolve in 10 years. And
yeah,
right now we cannot probably even imagine how this will evolve, because if we see the results of generative AI in image and video, like from a year or 2 years ago to
yeah.
what we have right now, what will be possible in a year or two, that's probably mind-blowing.
Yeah, so definitely. So we were a little bit like over focused on, let's say, LLM text application, and we kind of didn't think about multimodal AI models like, yeah, videos models, or or audio models. Like we had this Sora, for example, right, which looks really really amazing, probably like groundbreaking. So from the, like, going back to your product perspective, before we will deep dive into trends, are there any most useful tools that you are using as a product consultant on a daily basis versus what you've been like using 2 years ago?
Like probably it's not a very let's say big surprise, but chat gpt or any gpt kind of related llm, that
Mm-hmm.
are the biggest use cases. Like I'm using sometimes some tools that are using
Yeah.
gpt for in most cases, like for example perplexity. I think
Mm-hmm.
they also have their own models, but there are some tools that you can just plug in different language models if you want to use it. So I on a daily basis, I still use GPT with for a different use cases. Like it helps to brainstorm. It helps to gather some thoughts.
Yeah.
It helps to improve communication, summarizations, a lot of this stuff. And from product perspective, I would say that it also helps with discovery on some sorts. Or it helps to organize some processes. Basically, it makes it a lot faster.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like to use it. There are some different tools, but on a daily basis, this is the main one. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I always recommend to continue using it, because everyone can access it, but it's not that very simple to use it with the good results. You need to
Yeah.
double check. You need to know how to ask good questions, and sometimes creating good prompt takes at the same time that you could write the I don't know, essay for yourself, but then
Mm-hmm.
you can have this prompt and you can reuse it and you can optimize your work in the future.
Okay. Yeah, so it definitely makes sense also in the trends context. So what you're saying here is that, okay, there are some tools, but one of the trends that very often, let's say, appears in the reports is the democratization of AI. So we can say that although products are very popular, but we can see that majority of products are slightly going down in terms of amount of users. So it may, what in what you just said, it means that, okay, we are using those products, but democratization might not be yet here, because still on very early hype you are using this product, but then it seems that it still might be quite difficult for you to use, right? Or you are just like saying that, hey, okay, I'm not sure if it's so like useful for me. And I guess this is what we can see in case even of the chat gpt, right? That in the peak 100 million users, but probably right now less because people are still are not so convenient about how useful this tool is for the
Yeah.
majority.
And I think that mostly it's all about user experience. So
Mm-hmm.
who can solve it better and more available to users,
Yeah.
they will win. Of course, ChatGPT was a very big step towards this, but at the same time, it's a conversation. So on one hand, it's very easy, but at the same time, if you don't know what to ask, you will not get anything from it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the challenge.
So in what you're saying here, that after the initial very big hype, we are going into a new normal with the artificial intelligence. Maybe sometimes we tend to kind of losing a focus because it's changing so fast that we are kind of ignoring maybe some news that are happening, because from the latest technology we have like this DBRX, right? We have Suno AI, we have Sora. So these are things that are totally, mind blowing, but maybe we are ignoring them. And yeah, we will start just to use them in the background, the same as we, I don't know, adopt the cloud or LTE or 5G technologies. So yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely.
I think that the biggest challenge is because those are like there are so many solutions, appearing on a daily basis, basically. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not even possible to check them all. So
Yeah,
that's the biggest challenge, and that's why if it doesn't fit your own use case, most likely you will not even look into this because you don't have time
yeah,
to check
yeah,
them all. But it's good to be always, let's say, on top of things, to the
yeah.
just don't miss something that could help your work.
Yeah. So this is actually when this is very good point about, like, actually working with trends, because at Netguru we works with continuous innovation. We works with the innovators almost like on a daily basis. Netguru is, let's say, innovation one-stop shop, one of our key values. But you're also the entrepreneur, right? And you had your businesses from very innovation areas. So what would be your kind of advice in how to keep up with trends, how to keep up with this innovation? What you would advise with, other companies or product people to make sure that they are on top of trends? What is your practical approach on that?
Like I could say that it's let's say several steps. Like on one hand, I'm trying to be, let's say, on a weekly basis updated with just news from the AI
Yes.
world, the
Mm-hmm.
new topics. But then based on the let's say those information that some new model came up or some new product is available, based on the use cases, if those fits my needs, I check them and I dig deeper to just check them. So let's say right now I'm mostly interested in generative AI related to image generation and video
Mm-hmm.
generation.
Yeah.
So whenever there is something new that doesn't fit those areas, I just check this, but don't dig deeper. If this
Yeah.
is something new, then basically I compare to the previous solutions, because sometimes those new ones are way better, sometimes not really. So
Yeah.
then you just need to select the one that presents the biggest value, for example. But at the same time, from the business perspective, I would still focus on what challenges you have, what problems do you want to solve,
Mm-hmm.
because looking at any AI solutions that doesn't fit your needs doesn't really make sense. So
Yeah.
so I would that would be my biggest suggestions. Like if you are solving some problems, I don't know, with customer support, for example,
Mm-hmm.
or with some automations, and I don't know, search for in your e-commerce shop,
Yeah.
then focus on those areas. And then another one, I think that, which is also kind of a trend, that AI first, it enables quite let's say fast, like from concept to proof of concept, like
Yeah.
from ideation to just validating if this makes sense, especially with no code and low code tools. And especially because this whole industry changes very fast, it doesn't make sense to build a product for a couple of months and then release it, because then most likely it will already be obsolete, because there will be like new models, new startups are appearing. And one of the examples, I will not say the name of it, but there I found yesterday or 2 days ago a startup that is basically doing similar thing that HeyGen. HeyGen is for creation AI avatars and personalized videos. And result that this new, let's say, new startup that emerged has is like from year before. So it's very, very outdated. And most likely, I'm not saying, I don't know the details, but most likely they started working on it way back then. And it took too much time. And right now, it's very, very difficult. It will be very difficult for them to just, exceed the expectations, because that's what you need to do right now, to exceed expectations with the new AI solutions. Like if there is no wow factor right now, most likely it's too late to enter this solution, because probably it's not good enough.
Yeah. Okay. So what you're saying here on the practical level, you should at least try to be on top of things, at least like reading some announcement, checking some new tools, but to be more focused on your actual customer problem, right? To not find yourself that you are building the solution and then you are looking for a problem to be solved, right? So this is classical dilemma.
Unless you are so let's say interested in a very particular topic, like this generative AI, for example, and like on a regular daily basis you think about possible solutions, but then you also need to check if there are problems that those solutions can solve, and this is not only, let's say, something that you like, but if there are any other users or people who would like to have this kind of solution. So
but then what you're saying, like, and I believe that this is like very, very important from the product perspective, is this like going back to this lean approach philosophy, that if you release the product and like you are not embarrassed by it, probably you release it too late. Right? So you should like test it. You should use the technologies like low code, no code, at least to start with something, because if you will spend too much time for figuring it out, probably some other company will already deliver it to the market, and because it is changing so fast, it makes this already complex environment even more complex, right? So try to deliver as soon as possible. So so on the other hand, what I can tell you from my perspective, that definitely you should scan the market, like understand what does it mean for your industry. What I always saying on our workshop is that you should also be aware on what other players are doing outside of your industry. So working with trends, one of the, I would say, mind-changing thought is that usually change will come outside of your industry, right? So you cannot, if you are in the construction industry, you shouldn't, let's say, be scanning only the other construction companies, right? You should go outside and then think what it is for me there, right? And try to adapt. And because, as what you said, there are those low code, no code technology, you can do it very fast, you can do it very cheap. You should be focused on delivering proof of concepts as soon as possible and try to adapt, try to test new things, right? And then do it like on production. So this is like, we had this dual track agile, right? And this continuous discovery process. So maybe we should have something like continuous AI trends discovery process in some of the companies, right? Testing it. Even it can be like one person squad, right? That will test it, try to build as soon as possible, and then decide what should be done on production. All right.
Yeah, and that's also a good point, that right now, in most cases, maybe not all the cases, you need very small team to execute this proof of concept. Like sometimes
Right.
1-2 people is good enough, and often it doesn't even require an engineer.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it helps, of course, but sometimes you can to create this kind of a solution. Like you can even connect some solutions through Zapier or any other tools like that.
Yeah. Make.com. Yeah.
Yeah, to build something very very simple and to just see if this works and if this can produce some good results.
Yeah.
But I would say that from product perspective also, like what helps is to, let's say, embrace iterative approach, which is very important, especially in AI. Just to, step by step try to improve, try to double check if it works, check it with users, and,
Hmm.
and yeah, and basically do the discovery of problems to solve and figure out if AI is the solution, because not always is. So
Yeah.
if you find a problem, don't try to always solve it with AI.
Yeah.
Sometimes AI will help you to find the good solution, which not
Yeah.
always will be AI.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is one of the things, yeah, that you will not solve all world's problems through AI, definitely. So in terms of, I would say next 12 months, what would you see as, because there are some, again, like if you will read the reports, I guess that everyone can do it. There are some like top trends for 2023 that 2024, 2025 that people are, talking about. And one of the, I would say, trends, a part of generative AI, of course, that's going like that we can see here is multimodal AI, which is of course this AI type that can work on a different input and several outputs versions, right? And this is what probably one of the most, let's say, repeatable example. The other one is, and this is probably a longer one, that at the end of the day, like AI may just be some additional interface to use the application, to use the software. So the same as we had mobile apps in 2012, right? And right now, probably for the consumer software, we cannot imagine any type of software without the mobile application. It may be very similar with AI. But if you will think about your own field, and you mentioned that you are also more interesting in visual models, right? Video models, image models. I know that you are also like photography enthusiast. So what do you think will be the next 12 months, right? Emerging technology from your perspective.
Like it's not maybe that much connected, like there are some elements, but one of my, let's say, bets is the focus on personal AI assistants, like
Mm-hmm.
enabling to create your own, let's say, AI twin or your AI persona that will learn on what you are doing, basically will understand the context of you are doing, and basically could help you to make better decisions, but at the same time could act as your agent. So even attending some meetings, gathering some notes, coming back to you with some summaries,
Yeah.
if your input is not required, for example, replying, scheduling stuff, basically taking off your, let's say, mundane work, mundane tasks, and I think that that's a good challenge, like the good problem to solve. It could free a lot of time for many people, uh, and at the same time, if this connects with video and your, let's say, visual creation of your avatar, so it would be able to clone your voice and clone your image. That also the additional layer, but at the same time there's a lot of challenges to solve, because it is also kind of, let's say, risky, because this will
Yeah.
be you, digital you, but on an ethical, legal level, there are definitely a lot of challenges to be solved. So most likely, initially, this will be more like your personal thing, so it will not be exposed to the world, because that might be too risky. But yeah, but this is definitely something. And this connects also with the trend, like with a different topic, that AI avatars in marketing, in automation. I feel like this will also be a trend, because the quality of them even right now is almost like for many people undistinguishable from real persons.
Yeah.
And since there are new models that can even mimic the emotions, which right now it's still lacking, but in a year or so it should be possible that you will be talking with a real person, like real digital person, and you will not even know that this is just an AI avatar, because it will be able to react to your tone of voice. It will be able to react to your emotions, uh, and it opens a lot of possibilities, mostly for, I would say, customer service, marketing, sales,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
that's
for
one.
sure, thinking if at the end of the day we are let's say we are consuming the content which that is usually visual content, right? Instagram, TikTok of the worlds, those kind of applications. When we have a very efficient tool that can generate literally this content, that it might be probably the first biggest valuable business application to be used, right?
And at the
So
same time,
yeah,
the next trend, most likely, it will be that, if this will be the social media will be flooded with those virtual, let's say, personas. The next trend will be to be real, like to
yeah,
be, to not
yeah,
use this,
yeah,
because you can talk with a real person. And but that's probably the next, after everyone is overhyped and has enough for this kind of communication. That will be something more valuable in the
yeah,
next years.
yeah, definitely. So you also mentioned about couple of times about things to avoid, and um, from also from the product perspective, you mentioned about it, and it sounds for me like a very interesting thing. So what
Mhm.
do you think are kind of pitfalls, and what you would advise to avoid when working with trends in general and AI from from
Well,
your perspective?
I think that one thing is that it might be, let's say, a little bit contradictory, but rushing too much and being overhyped,
Yeah,
because just if there is something new, it doesn't mean that you need to right away jump into it and try to
yeah,
develop something. But at the same time, which is let's say contradictory to that, uh, overthinking and delivering too slow. That
yeah,
this is the biggest probably challenge, to know where to focus on something and to deliver as fast as possible. But this process before this decision, that okay, I'm doing this, this is where you need to try to not rush too much. So that's maybe I think that in practical terms it's a challenging one, but then it's basically the same idea, that you need to make sure that you are doing the right thing, and then
yeah,
focus on doing it the right way. So if you rush too much, you end up with building something that is not the right thing.
yeah,
And at the same, like the last thing to avoid, or maybe to remember, is that this whole industry, this whole AI evolves so fast, that in a couple of months, a solution that we are building, right now, might be obsolete. So
yeah,
that's also to remember, that you, even if you focus on building something, you need to keep, look around yourself, if it still makes sense. And sometimes it's like this cost that you already made. Sometimes it's better to just stop doing this if you see that it doesn't make sense,
yeah,
not continue pushing for it. And that might be, I'm not sure, but that might be the case of the solution that I mentioned, that you end up with a solution that looks way worse than anything that's on the market. So it would be better to stop doing this couple of months back, maybe start doing something else.
yeah,
That's more on a
yeah.
business level.
Okay, so this is very interesting. So what I can read from what you're saying is the one thing, make sure that you are building something valuable from the perspective that it might not be obsolete soon because OpenAI will release the new ChatGPT version and your startup will disappear. And on the other hand, try to build something valuable for the user, right? Try to build, at the end of the day, it should deliver some solution to human beings. So
Yeah.
make sure you are solving their problems, or not only delivering some technology
Yeah,
because you
because
want to, right?
in the end, from product perspective, it will be still finding real world problems to
Yeah.
solve, or finding a way how to enhance people's lives with the use of AI, or with something else.
Right, right. Very interesting. So, to wrap it up, thanks for the discussion, Matt. So, to wrap it up, what I'm reading of what you're saying here is, first of all, definitely we are after this AI initial hype. Like every time in technology, this is a cycle, and probably most likely market will look for very valuable use cases. You mentioned that from your product perspective, valuable use cases in terms of trends will be related with, let's say, broad, understandable visual context, right? This is probably one of the key low hanging fruits that we may have here. On the other hand, for sure, multimodal AI, people will look into it. And when you're working with continuous innovation, you should have this hacker mindset to deliver something very fast, but to be able also to deliver it in a cheap, affordable, agile way. Probably using the tools like low code, no code to make sure that you can put it into trash also as soon as possible if needed, right?
Yeah.
And then make sure that you are not only delivering it for yourself but for other people to solving real life problems. And because yeah, the change will come outside of your industry. So yeah, thank you very much, Matt. It was super interesting, very good discussion as always.
Yeah.
Thanks a
Thanks for the
lot.
invitation. It was
Yeah,
a
thank you
pleasure.
very much, and see you next time. Bye bye.
See you.